For the latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for more updates.
Hello and welcome to The Gist on Strat News Global. Welcome to another edition of The Gist. I'm Surya Gangadharan, and this evening our focus is on Bangladesh, and I have with us Mr. Syed Badrul Ahsan. He is a journalist, a commentator and author, and he used to be the editor of some of the leading papers in Bangladesh. Sir, welcome. Glad to have you.
Thank you. It's a privilege. Thank you for having me here.
So what is the situation as far as, I want to look at India, Bangladesh, and also like to look at some of the internal issues in Bangladesh. So basically two broad areas.
Right.
When we look at India-Bangladesh relations, what would you say are the main strong points in the relationship, and what are the negatives?
The strong points in the relationship are, of course, they include economic cooperation between the two countries over the last many years, especially since the year 2009, when the present government of Bangladesh was elected after the tenure, rather long tenure of the caretaker government ended. So since that time, cooperation between the Sheikh Hasina-led government and the Indian government led by Prime Minister Modi, that has increased, and that has been going ahead at full throttle, I would say. For example, if we go back to such issues as a land boundary agreement that was signed when Mr. Modi and his government took over. So in the beginning, there was this apprehension in Bangladesh when the BJP came to power in India that there would be some turmoil in the relationship because of the fact historically the Congress and the Awami League have been had seen eye to eye on a good number of subjects. But then, surprisingly, amazingly, things went the other way. And Mr. Modi has been to Dhaka, Sheikh Hasina has been to London, to New Delhi, and there have been ministerial exchanges, a number of meetings on different issues, economic cooperation and handling cross-border terrorism, militancy along the border. And there have also been instances where assassins of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, one of them was nabbed here in India and handed over to Bangladesh. And then measures against smuggling. Of course, it's a long, porous border. Much remains to be done. But the fact that these two governments have been cooperating in trying to curb smuggling, that has helped. So these, I would say, are the positives. And of course, in light of the Ukraine situation, in recent times, the government of Bangladesh and the government of India have cooperated in such areas as bringing in raw materials for the Rupur nuclear power plant in Bangladesh.
But there are obvious negatives. The Teesta waters thing is still hanging in the balance. We don't even know if it will happen, when it will happen. There is a trade deficit that Bangladesh keeps complaining about. There are accusations in India about illegal immigration from Bangladesh. And, there is also this thing about... so how do you see this? I mean, this remains, it kind of feeds on a sense in Bangladesh that India has taken advantage of them?
I wouldn't put it that way. About the Teesta waters, sharing of the Teesta waters, that is a cause of grievance for us because it's been taking a long time. In fact, way back in 2011, when then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh went to Dhaka, and it was expected that at that point, the new Chief Minister of West Bengal, Mamata Bannerjee, would join him, but she backed out of it at the last moment. And everything was ready, a deal to be signed. It didn't happen. And since Mr. Modi came to office, the promise has been there that things would work out. But I believe the two governments are again constrained by the fact that the West Bengal government has own perspectives on the issue, which is understandable. Of course, we need the Teesta waters. West Bengal also needs Teesta water. But since a lot of people, rather naively, tell me that the government, Dhaka and Calcutta, should cooperate. But there's not a question of Dhaka and Calcutta cooperating. It's a question of government to government, state to state. An independent country cannot cooperate with a state or a province of another independent country. So, but again, relations between Sheikh Hasina and Mamata Bannerjee, on a personal level, they've been very good because, see, Sheikh Hasina sends her the fish, Hilsa fish, and it's reciprocated. Mamata Bannerjee has been there on at least one occasion, if I remember, quite a few years ago, and she had a good team with her, including movie artists and playback singers. That was, I mean, when you talk to Mamata Bannerjee, she exudes goodwill for the people of Bangladesh, and Sheikh Hasina and her government ministers will also do the same, always do the same. But I think, concerted efforts need to go into this whole idea of the Teesta waters, and the Indian government, the union government, that is, if they can, of course, it depends on their relationship with the West Bengal government here. So, but since we believe that a solution will be arrived at when we don't know, say, maybe it'll take years, in the way the LBA, Land Boundary Agreement, because Bangladesh ratified it in 1974. It was signed by Mrs. Gandhi and Sheikh Mujibur Rahman.
And then
and India took a long time. Only when Mr. Modi came to power was it resolved. So we remain hopeful. Meanwhile, I mean, people-to-people relations, they're good, but hopefully we'll tide over this problem.
Does the issue of, this whole issue of illegal migration and then some kind of cattle smuggling and all that keeps cropping up here internally, Does Bangladesh feel victimized perhaps that they're being unfairly targeted because of India's politics?
Not necessarily because of Indian politics, but because of politics in places like Assam, for instance. So the complaint in Assam is that there are Bangladeshis making their way illegally into Assam and places like Tripura. Bangladesh feels that there could be illegal migration, but then the manner in which it is being projected as scores and thousands of Bangladeshis regularly coming into India, that is what disturbs our people there, because I mean, one doesn't quite know what the reality is. So I think, again, this is one area where the two governments, the union government here and the Bangladesh government, they could work out a solution, or before working out a solution, they could get down to the details of actually what is happening, how many people. In the past, of course, during the 1971 war, in the aftermath of the 1971 war, a lot of people stayed back. That's understandable, as they did after 1947. So if people from Bangladesh are going into Assam, and if the Assamese authorities have their points to project, have evidence to show that Bangladeshis are coming in, I think it would be good for diplomats of the two countries, say in Delhi and Dhaka, to actually sit down and look into the issues and come to a solution which could be acceptable to all. So obviously, we won't want our people to go into another country, to India or any other country, in an illegal way, because that also reflects on us. And we wouldn't want to be in a position where, say, where we deny everything. So, and denial is never a good way of looking at problems, at issues. So here too, I think this is one of the negatives. So the two governments, I think, they should really get down to it. Instead of us complaining about Assam complaining about Bangladesh, the matter should be taken up directly by Delhi and Dhaka.
Dhaka appears to be the point of interest of two big powers, the US and China. We had Qin Gang there a few days ago, the new Chinese foreign minister. We also had Donald Lu. So what's happening? I mean, we'd like to know what the dynamics here are.
Well, regarding Donald Lu's visit, lately there have been differences aired in the open between Washington and Dhaka. Not so much by Washington, but by Dhaka, insofar as these sanctions on the Rapid Action Battalion, some officials of the Rapid Action Battalion are concerned. And again, the Americans from another point of view, they would like China, they would like Bangladesh to be part of an alliance, so to say, which is aimed at China or against China, in this Indo-Pacific alliance, if you might call it that. So that is there. On the other hand, the Chinese, who have been involved in many development projects, defense deals with the Bangladesh government, and also involved in some mega projects in the country. So they have been, over the years, they've been cultivating relations with Dhaka, and the successive Chinese envoys to Dhaka have always maintained the fact that China enjoys good bilateral relations with Dhaka and will cooperate as it has cooperated with Bangladesh in the past. So, but of course, the visits of Donald Lu and Jin Gang, the new foreign minister, so they have intrigued observers in Dhaka as elsewhere. What the Bangladesh government will do, as it has done in the recent past, in maintaining balanced relationship, promoting a balanced relationship with Moscow, Beijing, and Delhi, I think it is going to be very careful, because the government of Sheikh Hasina knows that it has to tread a very fine path. After all, we have general elections coming at the end of the year, or perhaps early next year, early January next year. So the government would like to present a positive image of itself in terms of maintaining a healthy foreign policy before the people of the country, and of course before the world, and particularly before the South Asian region.
Bangladesh is a major buyer of Chinese military equipment. Now, India has offered a line of credit, I understand. I'm not sure it has been availed of as yet. Is there something which holds Bangladesh back from buying military hardware from India?
Not particularly. I think what Bangladesh is interested in, or would be interested in, is to have available military equipment, defense equipment from China as well as India. So, but without any prejudice, without any bias. That's the policy of the Bangladesh government. If defense equipment, good defense equipment are available from China and from India, Bangladesh is ready to do that. See, otherwise, without being inimical or without being hostile to any one of the two countries, because with both countries, with India, of course, we have had traditionally very friendly relations. With China, relations have developed in a proper way. That's the way I would like to put it. So I think the Bangladesh government wouldn't want to tread a path where it could be pitted against one country or against some other country, or in favor of one country to the detriment of the other.
Because some time back, Bangladesh had bought submarines from China. So the question going around is, who's the enemy? I mean, what is Bangladesh arming itself for, against whom?
Well, if you ask me that way, if you look at the problem in Myanmar concerning the Rohingyas, I wouldn't say that we'll have a military conflict with Myanmar in future, but then we need to have a strong military capability, strong armed forces. Armed forces are very professional, very thorough, and over the years they have developed themselves into a thoroughly professional force. Unlike the situation that prevailed in the 1970s, coups and counter coups, that has changed, and we have a good professional armed forces. So this question of acquiring equipment from different countries. No, they're not aimed at any country. See, to answer your question, no, it's just there to make Bangladesh as strong, as independent as possible. See, our concern now is to have a strong economy for the country. In much the same way, we need to have a strong defense force. See, not because we see an enemy inside, but because the future can't be predicted, especially when you look at the border with Myanmar. Every day, they're shooting from the other side from the other side from Myanmar, and this shooting affects those camps in Kutupalong, in Cox's Bazar, the Rohingya refugees, and in retaliation, in answer, we have this BGB, Border Guard Bangladesh. They sometimes try to take action. So that is our problem there. Well, I would not say problem. That is one area where we need to be careful.
In terms of Bangladesh's internal issues, is radicalization a major challenge for your country?
It is a challenge, but at this point, I wouldn't say it is a major challenge, because over the years, radical elements have been tackled very firmly. Of course, we still have pockets of these radicals arising in different parts of the country, in new names, under different identities. But since July 2016, when a massacre took place of people at a place called Holy Artisan Bakery in Dhaka in July 2016, since that time the government and the security forces have been very careful. So what happens these days, what has been happening since 2016, is that the Rapid Action Battalion and the police and other security forces, they have been able to develop a system where they can get to these people and nab them and extract information from them and get hold on the basis of that information, they can get to all these other people. That has been happening. So that is one positive sign, but this momentum has to be sustained. And hopefully, because if the momentum is not sustained, if these radicals are still around, and the radicals have this way of have a good network, and they go on spreading all over the country. So Bangladesh cannot afford to do that, because in the 1970s, the government of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, it was a very embattled government, because of these leftist elements were there, the pro-Pakistan elements were there, and the government had a tough time dealing with these elements at that time. Sheikh Hasina's government has been much more careful and much more assertive. So these drives need to be there in the interest of the future. Whatever government comes in future, whether the Awami League government is there or some other party, some other government succeeded, the situation should be such that these fundamentalists, these Islamist militants, do not get the opportunity to get the upper hand. They'll try all the time, but then we have to be careful, because we need to uphold the secular identity of the country.
Tell me, is the Bangladesh was born on the basis of identity, language.
Right.
So today, would you say it is the Bengali identity which is still dominant, or is Islam now gradually replacing that?
No, see, our people in Bangladesh, we are almost 90% of the population is Muslim. See, they pray 5 times a day. If you go to the villages, see, they pray. All these people, peasants, farmers, middle classes, upper classes, they pray 5 times a day. But more important than that, more important than the question of religion or religious identity, is the question of cultural identity. Because we take pride in the fact that we are Bengalis, and we believe in Bengali nationalism, not Bangladeshi nationalism, which has been propagated over the last many decades by parties and military rulers who seized power after 1975 and stayed there till 1996. So that cultural identity is more important. Next month, February, we'll be observing the anniversary of the language movement. So when we describe ourselves as Bengalis, and to the question of why we are not Bangladeshis, our response is, our nationalism was based on our language in 1952, which is something rare. So we fought for language, for the our right to practice our own language. When Pakistan tried to impose Urdu, we had nothing against Urdu, but we had everything against this bid to impose Urdu on a population which spoke Bengali. So that was the root of our struggle for self-assertion. So that nationalism is there. We are Bengalis, we are Muslims, and of course we have Hindus and Christians and Buddhists. But see, above and beyond all this, we regard ourselves as the inheritors of a culture symbolized by Rabindranath Tagore, Qazi Nazrul Islam, and so many others in Bengal, so many other writers and intellectuals in Bengal, which is where we have this affinity again between the Bengalis of Bangladesh and the Bengalis of West Bengal.
These attacks on Hindu communities, Hindu families, there is a perception in some quarters here that Sheikh Hasina tends to look the other way. Because there is also, it's a kind of a pressure cooker thing, you allow the radicals to let off some steam and then things settle down after a while.
I don't think Sheikh Hasina looks at the other way. Because every time such incidents take place, the government is embarrassed and goes for quick action against these elements. In 2012, 2011, 2012, around that time, there were these attacks on Buddhist temples in Ramu, near Cox's Bazar. And the government took, of course, these attacks were unprecedented. The organizers, militant Muslims, militant radicals, they organized it. The government went quickly into action and went into a restoration of the temples of these Buddhists. So when these attacks against the Hindu community takes place, it has happened. This year, it was a remarkable change during the Puja season, the Durga Puja season this year. Nothing of this sort. So that was, that rapidity of action helped. So these people, who do these things, they are again people who we think belong to the radical elements, again, radical elements which are supported by political parties not happy with the ideological base of the country. So you will notice that when these elements, they attack Hindu temples, Hindu homes, these righteous political parties and the opposition, you do not have any statements from them condemning these actions. So which is rather telling, which is saying something. So I would say, these things affect us also. We are embarrassed, as Bengalis were embarrassed, because we don't look at Hindus as Hindus, the fellow Bengalis. So when they're targeted because of their religious beliefs, we feel hurt, we feel embarrassed, and hopefully from here on things will be tackled in a very in a strongly assertive way. That is what the government is doing. That is what we as part of civil society, as part of the population, it is also our responsibility to see to it that these things do not occur. And every time such an attack has taken place, our writers, poets, intellectuals, academics, they have condemned it. They have visited the place. They have talked to these affected families, and they have come away with their own ideas about with their own thoughts about the reasons, about the people who contributed to these atrocities. So we won't, having been victims of atrocities of the Pakistan Occupation Army in 1971, we wouldn't want those same or similar atrocities to be committed in independent Bangladesh. Because in 1971, the slogan was Bengali, Banglar Hindu, Banglar Buddha, Banglar Christian, Banglar Musalman. That was the slogan. We'd like to take the country back to that secular order.
So last question. All this mystery surrounding Sheikh Hasina's, who will succeed her, she has indicated that she wants to retire at some point. There's no date. But where do you think this is going? Who could be a succession, or is it too sensitive to talk about?
Well, no, it's not too sensitive to talk about. Then, at this point of time, people in Bangladesh, they are not actually thinking of Sheikh Hasina's successor, or who will succeed her. Although there might be drawing room conversations of who might succeed her or who might be behind her. The question is similar to one we read about in the early 60s, when I think it was an American magazine where the question was, after Nehru who? So now we have not yet raised that question, after Hasina who, for a very basic reason. She has provided very strong leadership, and in Bangladesh's history, she has turned out to be the strongest political leader in the history of the country. Now, we had military dictators in the country, two of them, General Zia and General Eshaq. And then, of course, her father, the founder of the country,
Yeah,
see, unprecedented in his courage and his leadership. But then the way she has tackled all these problems, of course, the other problems, some problems remain, but the way she has tackled terrorism, she has tackled political dissent, she has tackled these fundamentalist radicals, Hifazat Islam, for instance. So, and of course, the remarkable progress her government has made in the economy. These have worked in her favor. So at this point, I mean, the time will come, of course, when, as she says, that she will retire.
Yeah.
So the feeling is it's entirely up to her to decide who.
And the party.
And the party. The party is absolutely behind her. And recently the party had its own council elections. And when Sheikh Hasinas told the gathering that she would like to retire, there was a loud chorus of protests from these party people. They wanted to stay. So that is there. So, but then again, so even if we think of who will come after her, we certainly do not see anybody who could, at this point, step into her shoes.
I think that is also a problem. So anyway, the mystery endures. I'm sure that after the elections get over, probably there'll be some light on the horizon then.
Hopefully,
you never know.
Yes.
Yeah. Sir, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for being so frank. Pleasure talking to you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And for those of you who joined us on this conversation, do subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter and social media. Thank you and good night.